Damn it, Tito. Another one?
Yo, so to kick off this video, today I got my pops in the chair, and we're going to be doing something a little bit different for him at least, which is going to be a mid drop fade, of course a skin fade. So right now I'm just setting my bald line, setting it right under his vertical bar, and then dropping it towards the back of the ear. Right now I'm just going to clear up the bulk, and basically with this haircut, I'm not just going to be doing a normal haircut, it's going to be a very blurry fade. It's going to have a lot of contrast in the haircut itself. That way we can try and hide the bald spot on top. So stay tuned and I'll explain as we go. And now of course we're going to make sure everything's neat with the guideline, just making sure everything connects real nice. And we're just going to prep the hair so that we can go into the fade. So for the fade, right now I'm just going in with my Babyliss 1.5 guard. Really I'm just trying to debulk and prep the hair for the fade itself. So this is just going to be a little extra step, but it'll help. It'll help. Alright, so now I have that lever fully open, and I'm going up about a ½ an inch. Really just trying to use the heel of my blade. I'm not trying to dig in too much to the skin. That way I don't set too harsh of a guideline. And of course, as we get to the back of the head, I'm trying to really stretch out that fade more and just, of course, bring up the line a little bit higher. That way we can also get that really nice gradient look that we're looking for. Alright, so now I got my clipper fully closed, and I'm using the corner to really try and take out that line smoothly and not put any harsh guidelines by accident or even accidentally bringing up the fade. So now I should be coming in with that 1.5, aka that 1 guard open, really trying to blend into that 1.5 guard that I did earlier, because of course the 1 guard open is basically equivalent to the 1.5 guard. See, I'm really just making sure everything's blended nice and all the hair is the same level. And now I can come in with my ½ guard and really just again using my corners, that way you don't bring up the fade by accident. Opening my lever as I go up. As you can see, I have it fully open and I went a little bit higher in the fade, and now I got it fully closed, so I'm staying lower. Of course, you're just adjusting your lever based on the higher you go is the more open you're going to have it, and the lower you come down is the more closed you're going to have it. Alright, so from this side of his head, we're going to be doing the exact same steps as the first side. So I'm going to let you guys watch a little bit, and I'm also going to come back and explain to you how this gradient fade is going to help hide his bald spot. Alright, so for this cut, of course, this is something new that I'm trying with my pops, which is a skin fade. Because normally what he does is like a 2 all the way on the back and sides with a comb over on top. But all that did was it just created that really dark looking type of contrast all around his head, with that very light spot on top, which is his low density spot or his bald spot. However, what I told him is if we're trying to hide the bald spot, what we can do instead is give you a professional looking skin fade, which I thought to go with a mid skin fade that drops a little bit more in the back and keep everything nice and squared. So what it will do is create that illusion of that light to dark look on top. And of course the dark being all around the ridge with the comb over on top, and the light being the bald spot and the back and sides of his head. So basically when people look at him, instead of noticing his bald spot right away, they tend to look more towards the fade and the hair that he has on top, making the bald spot not look as bald. Alright, so as we move on to the back of his head, of course I'm keeping all my guidelines consistent and making sure everything's nice and neat and in order. And what I did is I left the ridge for the very end, that way you guys can truly see the gradients and the contrast come together. So soon you're going to see me coming with that number 2 guard right about now, that purple number 2. And I'm just going up, flicking out of course, keeping everything squared. I'm just going right off the shape of his head. I'm not trying to dig in too much. And now I'm coming in with that 1.5 just to make sure everything's nice and blurry, nice and blended out. Alright, so now I'm coming in with the shaver just to add some more contrast to the cut. I mean, from this angle, the cut's looking real blurry. And personally, I find myself not even looking at his bald spot as much. I'm really looking at the fade at this point. Alright, so now I just wet his hair with some water, prepping it for the shear work, combing everything down in its natural growth pattern so that we can go into the shear work. Alright, so for the shear work on top, all I'm doing is I'm grabbing like horizontal sections and I'm cutting about an inch off the top. I'm making sure everything's nice and even because even though it is a comb over, I don't want one side way longer than the other side because with his hair it tends to really stick out if it's too long on one side. See, I'm just making sure I'm following my guideline, keeping everything neat. See right there, I see my guideline, so I'm going to cut. So a big tip is that if you don't see a guideline when you're doing your shear work on top or on the sides, just don't cut. Recomb the hair, make sure everything's laid down nice and flat again, and then go back and make sure you see your guideline in order to cut. Alright, so for the lineup, I'm just touching up his C-cups a little bit, as well as his vertical bar, just to make the cut pop a little bit more, just to add that little extra detail. Alright, so for the beard work, all I'm doing is just clearing out all his beard, like the sideburns and this and that, and we're just going to be keeping the goatee and the mustache. As you can see right there, he had to stare me in my eye, and well, we all know what happened last time, so let's roll that clip. Clients, when I'm lining up your mustache, please do not look into my soul. You could look at the mirror, look at yourself, look at the roof, close your eyes, just please do not stare me in my soul. Hey man, that's rule number 1, alright? When you're sitting in that chair and the barber's lining you up, never look them in their eyes, okay? Either close your eyes or we'll close your eyes for you. Finally, for our last step, just coming in with the shaver. Just making sure everything's nice and razor bald. Alright, so y'all see the before. And I'll take a look at the after. Personally, I feel like this cut definitely came out extra blurry. And also, I feel like this camera quality is looking extra crispy. Of course, this is my new camera, Canon M50. But other than that, it's been your boy Prince Breezy. Stay breezy, and I'm out of here. Peace.